One of the most painful lessons many women learn is that being a good woman does not guarantee that a man will stay. If you've ever wondered why some women seem to do everything right and still end up heartbroken, this video might save you years of confusion, self-blame, and disappointment. By the end of this video, you'll understand why so many women struggle to keep the men they're interested in, and why the answer has far less to do with your worth than you've been taught to believe. Many African women grow up with a message that sounds innocent on the surface. Be a good woman. Learn how to cook. Respect your husband. Don't argue. Take care of your home. Be patient. Endure. The message is rarely spoken directly, but it hangs in the air of many homes like an invisible law. If you're good enough, a man will stay. It sounds reasonable. After all, relationships require effort. Character matters. Kindness matters. Respect matters. The problem begins when women are taught that a man's decision to stay or leave is primarily determined by how good a woman is. That belief sets many women up for a lifetime of emotional exhaustion. Imagine spending years trying to become the perfect candidate for a position that was never yours to control in the first place. Many women enter relationships carrying an invisible checklist. If I love him enough, if I sacrifice enough, if I forgive enough, if I support him enough, if I pray hard enough, if I become beautiful enough, if I become submissive enough, then he will stay. Then I will be chosen, then I will be loved, then I will be safe. What makes this belief so dangerous is that it turns every heartbreak into a personal failure. A man cheats. She asks herself what she did wrong. A man leaves. She wonders what quality she lacked. A man loses interest. She immediately begins auditing herself. Maybe I talked too much. Maybe I wasn't attractive enough. Maybe I wasn't supportive enough. Maybe another woman was better. Meanwhile, nobody stops to ask a very important question. What if his behavior has more to do with him than it does with her? This is where many women struggle. They have been conditioned to view relationships through a performance lens. They see love as something they earn. They see commitment as something they secure through effort. They see loyalty as a reward for being good. Life eventually teaches a painful truth. Some people leave despite being loved well. Some people cheat despite being treated well. Some people walk away from relationships that many others would have treasured. Human beings are not vending machines. You cannot insert kindness and automatically receive commitment. You cannot deposit loyalty and automatically withdraw faithfulness. Relationships simply do not work that way. Think about how many successful, beautiful, intelligent, loving women have experienced betrayal. The issue clearly cannot be that all these women lacked value. Something else is happening. One reason many women struggle to keep certain men is that they focus almost entirely on being chosen rather than evaluating who is doing the choosing. Pay rapt attention. Many women spend years qualifying themselves while barely assessing the man's qualifications. He's inconsistent. He's emotionally unavailable. He's irresponsible. He lacks integrity. He avoids accountability. He has a history of unhealthy relationships. Yet the woman's attention remains fixed on proving her worth. She becomes so focused on being selected that she forgets to ask whether this man is actually capable of sustaining a healthy relationship. Imagine interviewing for a job while never checking whether the company pays salaries. That's essentially what many women do emotionally. They evaluate themselves endlessly while barely evaluating the character of the person they want. Another uncomfortable truth is that some women confuse self-sacrifice with love. African women are often praised for enduring disrespect, enduring neglect, enduring emotional abandonment, enduring one-sided relationships, enduring situations that slowly destroy their self-esteem. The woman becomes proud of how much she can tolerate. The problem is that endurance can sometimes become a disguise for fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of being judged, fear of not being chosen again, fear of disappointing family expectations. As a result, women stay in relationships long after those relationships have stopped being healthy. Ironically, the more they sacrifice themselves, the less attractive they often become to people who value confidence, boundaries, and self-respect. A relationship should never require you to disappear in order to maintain it. Another reason some women struggle is that they mistake chemistry for compatibility. This is a trap that catches people across cultures. A man gives her butterflies. The conversations are exciting. The attraction is intense. The connection feels electric. She assumes she has found something special. Months later, she discovers that chemistry does not solve fundamental incompatibilities. One person wants commitment, the other does not. One values honesty, the other values convenience. One wants emotional intimacy, the other avoids vulnerability. Chemistry can start a relationship. Compatibility is what helps sustain one. Many women are taught how to attract attention. Very few are taught how to evaluate compatibility. Then there's another difficult reality. Some women unconsciously choose emotionally unavailable men, not intentionally, not knowingly. Sometimes what feels familiar feels like love. A woman who grew up chasing approval from emotionally distant parents may later find herself attracted to emotionally distant partners. The relationship feels intense precisely because it recreates an old emotional wound. She keeps trying harder, loving harder, giving more, proving more. Winning his affection becomes a mission. What she calls love may actually be a familiar struggle for validation. Healing often begins when a woman asks herself a powerful question. Am I attracted to him because he is healthy for me or because he feels familiar to my wounds? That question changes lives. Now, let's discuss something many people avoid saying. You cannot keep someone who does not want to be kept. No amount of beauty can do it. No amount of cooking can do it. No amount of prayer can force it. No amount of sacrifice can guarantee it. The healthiest relationships are not sustained by one person desperately holding on. They are sustained by two people actively choosing each other every single day. That choice matters. Mutual efforts matters. Shared values matter. Emotional maturity matters. Character matters. The ability to communicate matters. The willingness to grow matters. A relationship cannot survive on the efforts of one person indefinitely. Eventually, exhaustion arrives. Eventually, resentment arrives. Eventually, reality arrives. Perhaps the most liberating lesson a woman can learn is this. Your job is not to convince someone to love you. Your job is not to become so perfect that nobody leaves. Your job is not to earn your humanity through endless sacrifice. Your job is to become healthy enough to recognize who is capable of loving you well. That's a completely different mission. One mission is driven by fear. The other is driven by wisdom. One mission asks, how do I make him stay? The other asks, is this relationship healthy, mutual, and worthy of my investment? One mission leads to self-abandonment. The other leads to self-respect. The women who eventually build healthier relationships are not necessarily the most beautiful, not necessarily the most agreeable, not necessarily the most self-sacrificing. Many simply learn to stop chasing validation and start choosing themselves. They understand that another person's inability to love them properly is not proof that they are unlovable. They understand that rejection is often redirection. They understand that someone's departure does not diminish their value. Most importantly, they understand that love is not something you earn by becoming smaller. Healthy love is something that grows when two whole people meet, choose each other, and continue choosing each other over time. That realization frees women from a burden they were never meant to carry. The burden of believing that every failed relationship is evidence that they were not enough. Sometimes the relationship failed because it was unhealthy. Sometimes it failed because values didn't align. Sometimes it failed because the other person lacked the capacity to build something meaningful. Sometimes it failed because two people simply weren't right for each other. None of those things automatically mean you are not enough. Perhaps that's the lesson many women need to hear today. Being a good woman can enrich a relationship. However, it cannot single-handedly save one. Being worthy of love does not guarantee that everyone will recognize your worth. The goal was never to become good enough to keep everyone. The goal is to become wise enough to recognize who deserves access to your heart in the first place.